Welcome, my friends, to Fantasy Football. I'm making this video because the people in our Battle of the Bible Boys League, which occurs every year in our small group for the last 6 years, and that's when I'm making this video. Hopefully, we'll use it for future years. Our league is meant to be a community builder, a fun activity that produces smack talk and camaraderie and competitiveness around the table, but of course, traditionally, like, most people in our league don't really care about football, and a few of us like know a little more about it. So I just want to give you a basic lowdown of what is fantasy football, what are you expected to do, how long is this going to last, and why you can absolutely succeed and even win if you don't know a thing about the game, particularly in the league as we designed it. So the way fantasy football works is you have a fantasy team. I'm using one of mine, co-managed by Brian and myself right here. You have a team name. You can choose the picture and the team name by clicking on the cog next to your name. You can even give different players nicknames if you so choose, but it's pretty easy to do that, and a lot of our players will use a fun nickname. Return of the Bookshelf, Make Better Choices, Kaylee's Boy, Fiddle Leaf Figgy. We have Ricky Town, Population Ricky, are some from this year, and so we definitely encourage that. It makes it a lot more fun. When you are playing, you have a team of players that you put together by drafting them. For example, our team looks like this here. It's a bunch of players across the 32 NFL teams, and they go into different slots. Every week, you'll be placed up against another person's fantasy team. Whichever team scores the most points wins the week, and whichever team wins the week gets a point, and they will advance up the rankings in terms of the overall league. At the end of the year, we'll enter playoffs, and that's kind of like sudden death. So the top 6 teams will make it into playoffs, whoever's won the most matches across the season. And those teams will play. If you lose, you're out. Then the final 4 teams, they play. Then the final 2, and then we have our winner. In addition, we have a tradition that every year the first place team gets to choose the name and the picture of the last place team from last year, or whoever placed lowest if we have someone who doesn't return. So we start the league by drafting teams. This is by far the most fun and involved part of the experience of fantasy football. Beyond drafting, there's not as much you need to do. This is like 80% of the work. We'll start with the team 1, and every team will draft a player, and that person's off the board once they're taken. And then we'll snake draft, meaning that the last person will begin the second round. Very biblical. The first shall be last. So you'll get a list of players, and check this out. It's actually going to put basically the best players at the top for you. ADP means average draft position, so this is what most players are doing around the world. So as long as you pick someone who is near the top, you really can't go too wrong. You can click on players to find out who they play for, age, years of experience, their rankings. You click the plus button when you want a player. So in our league, you're going to draft 12 players. You have 6 starters, and you have 6 bench players. So what this means is every week when you are playing your matchup and you go to your team, you are going to choose 6 players to start for you. The ones in the color are the ones that will actually get points for you. The other players down on the bottom here, they're on your bench. That means you still have them on your team, but you can't actually get any points from them that week if they're on the bench. If they have a high score and you benched them, that's unfortunate. So every week, part of what you do is you have to choose who you want to put on your starting lineup and who you want to bench. To move a player from the bench into the starting lineup, you will just click on the icon next to them, and it will show you all the available players that you can put up in the starting lineup. And it'll swap it for you like that. Often this choice is very easy. You put your best players in the starting lineup. But sometimes a player gets injured, and every player has 1 bye week per year, meaning they won't be able to play. They'll be taking a rest week. So if you want a simple way to know who to start, check out the projected points over here. Just pick the player who has the highest projected points and put them up in your lineup. So back to the draft, you're going to draft one quarterback, one running back, one wide receiver, one tight end, and two flex positions, which could be a wide receiver, running back, or tight end, but not a quarterback. You need at least that many of each of those positions, and then the bench can be whatever you want as extras. Some people get two quarterbacks, some people get two tight ends, some people get multiple running backs, wide receivers. As I'm going to explain these positions, let me take a further step back. The goal of football is to get the ball driven all the way down the field to the end zone where you can get a touchdown. Touchdowns are worth 6 points. Players get the ball down the field through plays. It's where everybody lines up in the middle and the quarterback takes the ball and they are either going to hand it off to somebody or throw it to somebody or run the ball themselves to get the ball down the field past the defenders. Quarterbacks are those people that take and throw the ball. So they are kind of the main coordinator and leader of every team. The running backs are players who run the ball. They will get the ball handed to them or thrown to them very close to the line of scrimmage, and they'll try to run past people or through people. Wide receivers will run out past the defenders, and the quarterback will throw the ball to them, and they will try to catch it and keep running with it or go down with it. And tight ends are kind of a special unit because they are kind of half blocker, half wide receiver. They're usually larger guys who will block and defend the quarterback, but sometimes they'll run out and catch the ball, usually a little closer to the quarterback. Players score points by driving the ball down the field. If a quarterback throws for a certain number of yards, they'll get an equivalent number of points. If a running back runs a certain amount of yards, they'll get a number of points. If a wide receiver or a tight end catches the ball for a certain number of yards, they get points. The further they go, the more points they get. And if a player ever scores a touchdown, they get 6 bonus points, which is a lot of points. Some brief things to know about each position. There are a lot of good quarterbacks every week. Running backs are very valuable, but there's not that many in the league who get all the work on their team, and they can get injured more frequently than any other position. Wide receivers have a lot of variability. It's rare that a wide receiver gets a lot of work every single week. And there's only a handful of tight ends that really catch the ball a lot before we get into ones that do a lot more blocking. Trading is an important part of the game. If you want to trade players with another player, all you got to do is go to your team, click on the trade button, and you can find the player or the team that you want. Click on that player, and you can essentially begin one where you click the units that you want to include in the trade, and you click the people that they would include in the trade, and you can send a proposal to them. And they can either accept it, reject it, or give you a counter offer. Or if you click trade block on one of your players, that notifies the league that you're trying to trade that person. The waiver wire is also an important part of the game. You want to win, you're going to want to be involved on the waiver wire. So essentially, every week, players get injured, players begin to rise, and there's players that don't get drafted. Basically, every week, you can go and you can put in a waiver claim on certain players. You go in, you click that you want to add them, and it will give you the option to place a bid on that player. We all get $100 to start the year. You don't get that money back. It's 100 fake dollars. You can put a $0 bid on a player, and if no one else bids on them, then you get that player on Thursday. But if you put in a $1 bid, but another player puts in a $2 bid, then that player that put in the $2 bid gets the player instead of you. If there's like a big player that's coming out and everybody wants this guy, and I put 50 on him, but Isaac puts 90 on it, then Isaac gets that player. You don't know who you're supposed to try to pick up on the waivers? No problem. Check this out. There's an incredible thing called the trending tab. And if you can look and you can see who everybody around the world is picking up and who's dropping. Right now, Emmanuel Wilson got 783,000 pickups over the last few days. The next highest was only 504,000. So Emmanuel Wilson is kind of the guy to have right now. So you could click on him. You could learn potentially why that is. Latest news. He had a really good preseason game, and also the other running backs on this team are injured. So this guy is the guy to pick up. So this is a great way to just know, hey, this is probably who I should try to take. You know, if one of your running backs is having a rough start to the season, you could pick up one of these guys, put your running back on the bench, and be all good. And that's fantasy football. Thank you so much for listening. I hope it's not TMI. I want to make sure everybody is coming in with kind of a fair knowledge base, but the way we designed this league is that you don't start that many players, so everybody should have a pretty talented roster. Like, you don't need to have tons of depth. If you have a few great players, you can win your week. And we've seen people who are first timers come very close to winning or win. Haley Crane, who just drafted Chiefs players, Patrick Mahomes, and didn't know all that much about football, won 2 years in a row, much to our chagrin. Yeah, you can definitely win. I think part of the fun is if you have a player who does really well, you can go on YouTube and look up, that player's name, and it'll probably show you their highlights from that game, and you can go and cheer on like, wow, that guy did something really athletic. You can draft players from cities that you like, places that you're from. I like the Denver Broncos, but I also have some love for Arizona, Detroit, and Kansas City because I have family from there. Just have fun. Don't be scared. If you have any questions, Isaac or myself would be happy to answer and give you our honest opinion. We're not going to knowledge keep. We want everyone to have a good time with this league. Good luck in the draft, everyone. Have fun, and God bless you all.